the village board meeting to order. Roll call.
President Byrne,
Here.
Trustees Cook,
Here.
Schwartz. Here. Williams. Here. Hebda.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Markwart.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum present. Will everybody please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Are there any citizens that wish to address the board tonight? Is this on anything other than what's on committee of the whole?
Correct.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Chet Liss. I live at 515 Torrey Pines Way in Vernon Hills. And today I came to discuss the proposed Lake County Public Works antenna pole that is being proposed in the heart of Gregg's Landing. The pole is proposed to be 55 foot tall. It's proposed to be at the intersection of Gregg's Parkway and Huntington Drive. This is right square in the heart of Gregg's Landing. The pole at 55 foot tall.
Hey, Chet, hold on just a minute. Your Honor, this is on the agenda part.
Yeah, it's on
So-
the committee of the whole.
Well, no, it's under Mike Atkinson's section of the agenda, but
It's on regular.
we don't want to get him too wound up before we get.
Yeah, all right. Let's hold off on this
And-
until we
And then I was
jump
just,
to it.
and then also, we've noted Lake County officials are not here tonight. They were notified. I'm not sure if there was some confusion, but I don't see them here tonight. And it might be best served if we put this off to a future agenda and we could, I'd personally make sure Chet is notified of when that date is.
Well, why don't we just address it? Here, let him make his statement. Let's go.
Okay, the pole at 55 foot tall is approximately double the height of the buildings in the area. The houses in the area are about 30 feet tall. The pole at 55 would be double that size. From an aesthetic standpoint, I don't feel that the pole, 55 foot tall pole in the heart of Gregg's Landing is too aesthetically pleasing. And I'd like to propose two alternative locations for the pole. One location would be at the site of the old Mundelein sewer treatment plant over by the golf course maintenance building. The other location would be in the deep woods of the Lake Charles Park. The trees in Lake Charles Park are about 55, 60 foot tall. I've walked the area. There's many locations in the park. That would be a good location for the pole. The pole would be hidden, okay, and it would be close to the point where the Lake County Public Works wants to make sure that they have meter reading capability. So either of those two locations, I think, would be great. However, not the present location in the heart of Gregg's Landing. Thank you.
Okay, Chet, thanks. Okay. Next is presentation of the police department's life-saving awards to Officer Ken James and Ken Maier.
Gentlemen, you want to come forward, please? Mr. President, members of the Village Board, once again, it's my honor and privilege to stand before you tonight to recognize the actions of two of our police officers, Officer Ken James and Officer Ken Maier. You hear me say this a number of times, and I never get tired of saying it, but each year our police officers and firefighters receive dozens of hours, and in some cases hundreds of hours in training in things such as arrest procedures, firearms proficiency, emergency medical response, and treatment. Of course, the hope is that they will never have to use those skills in a real-life situation. There's a significant difference between practicing in a clinical situation, whether being on a firing line, a firing range, or on a CPR dummy. The question is, in a true emergency, How will our officers and firefighters respond amid the ultimate distraction? Will they be able to do their jobs when they must, when it really counts? And in this case, these officers did. For a police officer and firefighter, there's no greater service or act that they can provide to the community than to save the life of another person. Many of us go through our entire careers without an opportunity to be involved in life and death situation, thankfully. But I have to point out, this is the third time Officer Maier has stood here before you, or stands here before you tonight, to receive a life-saving award. This is the third life-saving award he will be receiving. On Sunday, August 17th, both of these officers responded to a call for a woman who was unconscious and not breathing. Upon their arrival, they were met by family members who took them to the victim, who was in a back bedroom. After confirming that there was no pulse and no breathing, they began chest compressions on the victim, and one of the other officers assisted in clearing the area and getting further information on the victim. They performed life-saving measures for at least a few minutes on the victim until the arrival of the Mundelein Fire Department ambulance and the Countryside ladder truck crew. Once rescue workers arrived, they took over and administered a shock to the victim and restored her pulse rhythm and restored breathing shortly thereafter. The victim was taken to the hospital in an intensive care unit, and following this incident for about 5 days, and she was successfully discharged. These officers played a vital role in saving this patient's life and are to be commended for their life-saving efforts. Thanks, Chief. Chase you around to give you the last two. I have to find this one. And again, this is not a ring, this is a ring. Chief, thanks, Chief. Congratulations. Thank you.
You guys want to say anything?
No, that's okay.
Just a mistake, Chief?
I don't think you really want to encourage that in a public setting.
I'll talk to you later, Roger.
Okay.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
I'd just like to comment on our entire force. If I may, it's nice to see how young you all still look. There's a couple of you back there that I swore in when you first came on, and you still remember that? I think Todd takes it all, though, right, Todd? Thank you so much, guys. I'm really proud of all of you. Great job. Great bunch of guys.
Okay. Next is appointment of Tim Grieb to the Vernon Hills Police Pension Board for the term that expires April 30th, 2016. Would you please step forward? Yeah.
You need to throw this thing into the window.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. We have to. We should go through the oath, right? Yeah. Okay. We need a motion to approve, and is there?
To concur. So move.
Second.
Okay. Good point.
We
I
need to vote on that then, too.
roll call.
Hang on a moment. We'll be right back.
Trustees,
Keep your arm up, that's right.
you want a roll call?
Yeah.
Trustees Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, the official oath. I, Tim Grieb. Have been appointed to the office of the, having been appointed, here, take this one.
You gotta give it back, because he's gotta
You
sign
can
it.
take those off. No. Having been appointed to the office of the
Having been appointed to the office of the
Police Pension Board
Police Pension Board
in the Village of Vernon Hills,
in the Village of Vernon Hills,
in the County of Lake,
in the County of Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
and affirm
and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Police Pension Board
of Police Pension Board
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, I gotta sign.
Do I have to sign it?
No. Somebody's got, yeah, you gotta sign it too.
I'll give him one.
You sign it first, and
Why
he'll
don't
get
you
it.
sign it first, and I'll take care of Tim after that, so. I'll take care of it.
Stick them in here, eh?
I'll take, yeah.
All right. Congratulations.
Great job, thank you.
Okay. Assistant Village Manager, Oktoberfest, thank you. Joe?
Thank you. On September 27th, Vernon Hills held the 10th annual Oktoberfest celebration. Near perfect weather, welcomed guests of all ages, and was a great success. Thanks to the donations, a total of $1,200 was raised at the event, which will be distributed to the 10 local nonprofits that participated. A special thanks to our sponsors include the Mario Chikroshi School for face painting, Rust-Oleum for the kids' crafts, Advanced Disposal for the soundstage, Home Depot for providing the pumpkins, and the Park District for the hayride and trees. Special thanks again to Trustee Hebda for her assistance with the crafts. Another big thank you also goes to the police, public works, summer celebration committee members, and all the volunteers who helped make the event a success. Monica Ladine deserves a special recognition for her long hours and dedication to this event, without which this event would not be as successful as it has this past year or in previous events. She really does just a phenomenal job. And lastly, special thanks to the President and Board of Trustees for your continuous sponsorship and support of the event. It's a great event. I think everyone I spoke to who was there all had a great time. Everyone from the balloon animals, face painting, inflatables, and the petting zoo. All was really well done. So thank you.
Trustee Schultz.
And I also wanted to thank Joe for his outstanding work and for the guts to wear lederhosen.
Yeah, really, that was good.
No, it was a good time, as Joe said. In fact, my wife and I and some of our friends took one of the last hay rides.
Oh.
And that's a nice little ride
It
there
is.
on all the pathways there leading back to Sugar Grove and back. So anyway, yeah, it was a great event from my perspective, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again. The only question that I fielded while I was there was, why only one day? Why not Friday and Saturday? I said, well, all right, we'll think about it. But anyway, yeah, it was a great event.
Okay. Finance Director, Nakron, Village Credit Card Policy Update.
And actually, this presentation will be by the Assistant Finance Director, Nikki Larson.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. In September 2014, the Village Board approved a new commercial card purchasing program with MB Financial Bank. This was done because of some issues that we had encountered with the existing program requiring personal liability of staff. The new program allows restrictions on types of purchases, and it allows us to track purchases very closely. It also offers rebates that are expected to generate approximately $4,700 to $15,000 per year. Staff is continuing to take a conservative approach, and as part of this program, a new credit card policy has been established, and it's been included in the packet for this evening. Currently, there are 4 credit card holders within the village, and all card holders are required to sign an agreement that says they have received this policy and that they will adhere by it. There are key components included in the policy, directives that require all requests for credit cards to run through the finance department and the village manager. Department heads must review every transaction on each of the statements. Cards may not be transferred to, assigned to, or used by anyone other than the card holder. Personal charges of any kind are expressly prohibited, and any type of misuse of the card would result in the loss of a card and possible disciplinary action. Any questions regarding this new policy can be directed to the finance
Who's
department.
got the 4 cards?
The village manager, the police chief, the public works director, and the finance department has 1 card that's going to be used for accounts payable invoices to earn that rebate.
Okay. And whose name are these cards in?
There's 1 in the village manager's name, 1 in the police chief's name, 1 in the public works director's name, and I drew the lucky straw for the finance department.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any comments or questions from the board on this? All right. Thank you, Nikki. Building Commissioner, Lake County meter reading device location at Gregg's Parkway and Huntington Drive.
Mr. Mayor, we'd like to defer this to a future meeting when Lake County officials can be here. And also, I want to assure the board that we will share Mr. Olson's comments with Lake County representatives before they come back to the board.
Well, where is the location? I mean, do we have do we got a drawing where it's located?
Yeah, we do. And I can get that for you.
I just, you know.
Here it comes.
What's right at?
Oh.
Huntington and Huntington. Yeah.
I see it. It's this.
There it is.
Was it by the tee box?
It's right here.
No,
It's right by the road.
right on the.
Here it is.
It's shown on the map in front of you. It's at the intersection of Huntington and Gregg's Parkway on the south side of Gregg's Parkway. And you
Why
see-
was that location chosen?
That's why we need Lake County here, so they can explain what kind of coverage they need and such.
Well, you got the Lake County Board President.
Oh.
I wasn't planning on speaking to this. Thank you, Aaron Waller, Lake County Board Chairman. Just from a high level, my understanding is, in speaking briefly with my staff, that we work with the Park District, with others, to try and identify a site where we could utilize an existing pole. The idea that we're implementing across the county with this meter reading program is to utilize existing infrastructure to implement, what we need. As far as I know, we're open to looking at alternatives, but this was the most readily available site that was there. Just to give you, a brief snapshot of why we're doing this, majority of our meter reading equipment was over 25 years old, running at about an 83% efficiency, meaning that we are leaving 17% of our customers with inefficient meter readers, which impacts their ability to effectively detect leaks and maintain their water bill. So this is just a much more efficient system. In addition to a more customer-friendly approach, it provides a strong cost savings for the county. It has an 11-year payback, which may seem like a little longer, but the long-term benefit is we're eliminating 1 staff position, 1 vehicle, and an annual meter reading contract of $95,000 per year. So it does make good financial sense for the county, and we'll work with the residents. And,
I mean, in comparison to like a cell tower, how big is this thing? Is
well,
it like
an existing light pole, and everything that is global elevation is 50 feet.
Is that what
Well-
this is attached to?
No, actually, Dave,
Yeah, let me jump in. So the county has implemented many of these. They're on our existing street light poles. We promised the board the taller ones that may be more controversial, we would bring back to the board. Worked with Mike Atkinson in terms of some of the ones that aren't on our standard 28-foot high poles. They've added some to the monopoles instead, rather than putting up 50 or 55-foot high poles in new areas. They're putting one at Hartman Park on an existing siren pole. The one area in question that they're trying to work through is specifically by Huntington and Gregg's Parkway. They're looking at Lake Charles Park as a potential. They're looking at this location. If they put at this location, they would add a light and it would illuminate the intersection. And maybe the number one priority that we would like to see is they're doing some additional research. They don't have answers specifically, certainly not tonight, but is there a possibility within their network that they don't have to have any poles taller than 28 or 30 feet? I think that's what we would all like to see. But they're going to do that analysis and then give us whether or not that's possible or not. So.
Okay, so the bottom line is this is going to be attached to a light pole.
Yes.
If it only goes 20-some feet.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, you're talking 3 times the size of a light pole.
So it's either going to be at Lake Charles Park, which is going to be a tall pole, or it's going to be at this intersection, which would be 50 to 55 feet high. So new installation of a tall pole of 50 to 55 feet high. Or we try to find a location that they can place it at a lower elevation pole. So those are the 3 options they're pursuing.
Okay, hey, wait, okay, Trustee Hebda.
Well, I think we need to be cognizant of that's a 50-foot pole in quite a visible area, and I would ask that we at least look at did anyone work with the homeowners from Gregg's?
We have notified them. This is newer information.
Oh.
We notified them, and we wanted to bring it for discussion in front of the board also.
Let's work with some people and see if we can find a better location than what you're proposing.
Yes.
That's my opinion. I wouldn't want to see it there personally. So.
And I apologize.
Oh, no.
I know the word we use, but we're going to go over
Right.
the village.
Understand, that
I
makes
haven't
sense.
listened to
Right.
any comments from residents.
Okay, because I think we're trying to be discreet in where we're placing these, so let's try to look at that for those folks too, so.
But Dave, just give me an idea. Is this like 50 inches around or 60 inches around? I mean, or is it a lot smaller than that?
A lot smaller than that. So
it's like
slightly wider than our standard 30-foot high pole. So it wouldn't be much larger in diameter, but twice as tall.
We're talking diameter.
Yes.
12 inches?
There's actually a detail, if they popped it up on the screen.
14 inches at the base.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much?
And then what does it do, taper down? I mean, tapers up?
It does.
Yeah, it tapers.
Okay, just so everybody knows, this isn't like, a cell tower.
Correct.
Yeah, cell tower is, the ones we have are 120 feet tall.
Plus, they're a little big,
Yeah, a little
right?
bit bigger, yeah.
Okay. Chet, you got that in your mind?
I have the drawing.
Yeah, okay, it's about 14, okay.
It's 55 foot tall.
Yeah, all right, so be it.
How similar is this proposed pole to the one that's on Westmoreland by the pumping station? There's a new pole there.
I can't remember the height. That's for the Scadia. And I just can't remember the height. The base is about 12 inches. I remember that.
Right.
I just can't specifically remember the height. It's been up for a couple of years now.
Well, regardless, I agree.
Trustee Cook, I got lights here.
If you could take it back to him, I'd really like to find another spot. I mean, the current pole that's there, I went out and looked at the current pole today, which is 20 feet. And this would be 55, which is nearly, 3 times that height. And where it's located, because there are homes right there, is really not a good spot. And I know it can be moved, this is a wireless system. It isn't going to affect it that much. Correct. It isn't that it has to, let's put it this way. If it has to be right at that spot, then you've got a bad wireless system. Absolutely. If it doesn't have any kind of a range to move it. And so I'd really like to look at a place a little further away from some of the homes.
I think we can absolutely do that. You know, there's a willingness here. The whole goal of the operation is to make our system more efficient so that
Yeah.
we're reducing our overhead and not create a blight in the
Well,
community.
and
So
we-
I believe we can achieve both.
Exactly. And when we
Absolutely.
entered into it, it was an outstanding program, and it's
Sure.
going to be a good thing for everybody for
So
for
let
their
me
water
take
bills.
that back to our team and figure out where we can either, as Dave's saying, reposition it elsewhere that's more suitable, or if there's options to do maybe more than one much lower pole that would achieve the same goal. We'll absolutely look at that.
Trustee Markwart?
Probably with the same, I'd look at other options if possible, and again, the height, but I don't know distance because it is actually, it's by frequency, so you can pick up quite a bit. I don't know what the blockage, by trees that are 50 feet high, so I would tend to say try to find another location or possibly of a two-location area that could be mounted to a light pole, existing.
What we'll do is put together a few different options and bring them back to your staff and the board members to look at, A, B, C, and D.
When do they want to install this by?
I don't know the
When does it want to be installed by, or when do they want to place it?
Go ahead.
They're continuing through the village. This is one last piece of the puzzle. So the majority of the system's actively being installed if it hasn't already been installed. So it's acceptable for them to work through it with us, and in terms of finalizing a location, they're okay with that. It sounds like we certainly would like that.
Trustee Williams?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think that you know what we would like.
Sure thing.
Without any further discussion from me, so thank you.
Okay. So what are you gonna do, bring this back to committee of the whole at some point?
Yeah, well, me and Director of Public Works Brown will work with Lake County officials. We'll come up with as many alternative locations as we can, being sensitive to its location to adjoining homes, and we'll bring these alternatives to you for direction at a future board meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. But from a safety standpoint, would it help that intersection, which is a busy intersection?
I'll let Dave
They
answer
have
that,
a
but
light there.
yeah, it does.
Another light.
We absolutely would like to add some lighting to that intersection one way or the other. So it does have utility should that pole go at the intersection to have a light, so it has two purposes. But it really comes down to whether or not it's acceptable to have that tall of a pole in that area, and so that's why we'll ask them to look at other options first.
Okay. All right. Next is the omnibus vote agenda. Is there a motion to approve items
A through K.
A through K?
So made, however, I'd like additional feedback from staff on items I and K.
So you're pulling I and K.
Not pulling, just looking for additional feedback.
Information on I and K.
Well, we'll vote at them, you know, and then, you know, I'll ask for comments from the board.
Right.
So just pull
Somebody better look up the.
K and I,
Let's
right?
vote again.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and J?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Markwart?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye?
Williams?
Aye.
Hebda?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, first pulled item, approval and passage of resolution 2014-162, authorizing 2014 Oktoberfest raffle proceeds to be distributed to participating nonprofit organizations. Trustee Schultz?
Who and how much?
$1,200, right?
That's correct. It's $1,200. It's approximately $1,208. There were 10 nonprofits that participated. The Vernon Hills Lions, Vernon Hills Seniors, Vernon Hills Cougar Youth Athletic Association, Cougar Parent Connection, Youth and Family Counseling, Diamond Lake School District 76 PTO, Boy Scout Troop 273, Cub Scout Pack 273, Alzheimer's Association, and Stay and Spay. Each of these nonprofits will receive a portion of the proceeds equaling $120.80.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, roll call.
Trustees Marport,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve in the passage of Resolution 2014-162, resolution authorizing approval for Compass Minerals, formerly North American Salt Company, to furnish bulk rock salt under both the State of Illinois joint purchasing bid and Lake County joint bid, and to issue a purchase order to Compass Minerals in the amount of not to exceed $154,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, and I will add is that due to the cost per ton, technically, we have a good deal. There are some that are more dollars of $80 a ton, up to $135 a ton, or someplace between 62 to 70, so.
And additionally, do we have full bins right now?
I think I know what you would like in terms of some of the details. In terms of our bins, they're not full now. We're glad that we made it through a hard last season. I guess each bin is 400 tons. We have one bin and a little bit more still left over. In terms of really why this is on the agenda is they changed the name of the company. But in terms of specifics, we do have 2,500 tons that ultimately will be coming our way. We split the bids. We had our existing contract with the state. It was a 2-year contract. We renewed that one. So we have 900 tons with the state. That's at $61.13. Like Trustee Marquardt said, a great price. We're glad to have that. We did go out and rebid with the county and some other municipalities. We contracted for 1,600 tons, and we're purchasing 400 tons before November 1. That's $68.44 per ton, and the remaining 1,200 tons we're paying $70.44. So the price of salt has went up. We are also not allowed to, under the county bid, to contract over the 100% amount. I mean, the other contract allows 80 to 120. This only allows 80 to 100%. So once we go over that 100%, we're on the open market. So
the percentage is divided up between the state and the county bid, right?
yes.
So is it 2,500 tons?
So total of 2,500 tons, 1,600 of it from the county, 900 of it from the state.
Okay, and it breaks out to what, 60% from the county? 65% from the county?
36% from the state.
Okay, so 65.
So the state is 900
Right.
of the 2,500, so that's 36%.
So 63% from
For the other, yes, sir.
the, okay.
64%.
Okay, everybody clear on this?
We're going to be going more and more towards anti-icing and pre-treating and using that. Pre-wetting saves 30% of the cost on rock salt, and so we're going through using more and more like beet juice, etc. We started that as part of our long winter season last year. We're continuing that practice. My staff had training today over at Lake County SMC's permitting office with a number of other municipalities, so everyone is gearing up for the season, us included.
And how much did we use last year?
there's some inaccuracies, 1,800 to 2,000 tons.
And we can hold how much?
We can hold 1,200 tons.
Okay.
We're very pleased that a previous board, this board, and allowed for us to have the 3 large bins. Before, when we had the smaller one, whenever there was a prediction of snow, we had to order salt and prayed that they delivered it in time. So we're better prepared than what we were.
What does it cost to build a dome to hold,
A lot of
1,000
variables.
tons?
There's so many variables.
Yeah.
I've been so pleased with what we have. I really haven't researched how much it would be to have something enlarged.
Okay, and of course, we got the V-plow.
And we do have the V plow ready to go.
What's the winter supposed to be like?
I always hear predictions. The part that I struggle with is they don't always tell me whether it's going to be at night or is it coming all at once. I look at weather forecasts a little bit different than the average person, I guess. So I hear it's supposed to be similar to last year, but we'll know once it gets here, I guess. We're prepared.
Okay. So we got a roll call?
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, unfinished additional business. Approval of Kemper voucher list of bills dated October 7th, 2014, the amount of $14,191.26. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. Comments or questions? If none, roll call.
Trustees Schwartz,
Abstain.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Motion carries. B, approval of the September 25th, 2014 Village Board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Comments or questions? If none, roll call.
Trustees Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Motion carries. C, approval and passage of ordinance 2014-040, an ordinance granting approval of facade renovations and landscape revisions for 357 Town Line Road, Village of Vernon Hills, Lake County. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Comments or questions? If none, roll call.
Trustees Hebda,
No.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Motion. What's it?
No, I was gonna say for.
So what's the count, the head count there?
Yeah, they got 50, 100 mattress or.
Trustee Hebda voted no.
Okay, motion carries. All right.
The mattress capital.
Yep.
We're up to
Synergy.
10, 11.
Synergy.
Approval of pass, approval of passage of resolution 2014 -164, resolution granting approval to operate an outdoor special event for AAA Insurance, a car care facility located at 1680 North Milwaukee Avenue. Is there a motion to approve?
So made. Second.
Okay, Mike Atkinson?
No, if the board wants me to clarify or answer any questions, feel free to do so. Otherwise, no, staff has no objection to the request.
Maybe she wants some.
What are they gonna do? Oh, go ahead. You want to say something?
I'm just here in case somebody had a question.
Well, you can tell us all about your events.
What are you doing there?
They're just doing a grand opening, so we're having.
You want to get closer to the mic or put the
And-
mic down to you?
And who you are.
I'm Megan Malloy.
There you go.
We are having a grand opening on Saturday. The event itself goes from 11 to 3. We will be doing a ribbon cutting. We'll be doing face painting, pumpkin painting, photo booth. We'll have balloon artists there. So we are anticipating 150 people there and just hoping it'll be a great event.
Okay,
Very good.
all right.
Thank you.
So we need a roll call?
Trustee Schwartz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye?
Schultz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda.
Aye.
Motion carries.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay,
you.
we're gonna just go into closed session after committee of the whole for, land acquisition? Oh, we don't have anything? Oh,
Then we're not.
well then,
You don't have to do that.
hallelujah, praise the Lord. Okay, well, Dan, is there a motion to adjourn the, board meeting and go into committee of the whole?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second, roll call.
Trustees Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye?
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. First item is the approval of committee of the whole meeting minutes of September 25th, 2014.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second, comments or questions, deletions, corrections? Excuse me, if not, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye?
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Lacrosse America proposed contract extension for Pipe City Tournament.
Thank you, Your Honor. Trustee Markwart and myself met with Chad Gruen from Lacrosse America to discuss the possibility of a 5-year extension to their current agreement. As you know, we are currently in year 2, having just successfully completed a wonderful tournament out there, aided by, a great combination of weather, team support, local support from not only our staff, but our adjacent neighbors, the Park District especially, the school districts, who basically all came together along with American Hotel Register to make it a wonderful event. Being as pleased as he is, he's here tonight to basically request a 5-year extension of our current agreement. That would take that agreement out until 2021 and would establish this event out into the future. It would solidify the use of the second weekend in July as the date for the tournament. As he'll tell you, I'm sure tonight, this is a recognized and highly desirable date on the national circuit. So it's really turned out to be a great event. So I guess with that, Chad, I'll turn it over to you, and you can answer any questions, and then we'll seek direction from the board as to whether you want to entertain this request.
You want to state your name for the record?
Sure. My name's Chad Gruen. Thanks for having me here tonight. We started Pipe City with Vernon Hills about 4 years ago as kind of like a neighborhood lacrosse tournament. And this past season, we had over 200 teams from 12 states in Canada come to the location. As John correctly pointed out, we work with Vernon Hills High School, we work with Stevenson High School, we work with American Hotel, we clearly work with the Village and the Park District to kind of pool all the 30 fields that we need together into almost an entirely flawless single-site tournament. It's now the largest lacrosse tournament in the Midwest and top 8 in the country, depending on how you figure it. And what happens is basically from the second week of June through the 1st of August, these teams go on their summer circuit, and so the weekends can't change, or they start overlapping with one of the other major ones. And so that's pretty much why that weekend after July 4th has kind of been Pipe City's home base, and where, as I said, if you play lacrosse and you're within a reasonable flight or drive, you're almost guaranteed to play at Pipe City. So just some simple stats, as I said, we expected about 15,000 people, and we well exceeded that on site for the 2 days. We booked about 2,100 hotel rooms, starting Vernon Hills and working our way outward. So overall, from everything we've heard, it was extremely successful. And from our organization to your village, we appreciate all your help. Thank you.
Jan, I got a question. I mean, are we covering all our expenses? from this tournament?
We are reimbursed.
Police or public works?
We are reimbursed for police and some of the field striping work that goes on out there. I don't know, Dave, if there's anything else. And then we receive $10,000 for field usage that covers the weekend. I don't know if we've ever specifically costed out the public works operation simply because we use the week. They work during the week in preparation of the site.
Right.
But we've not ever done a full cost accounting of that, from what I believe.
What do you think, Chief? No, I mean as far as.
Well, we do cover the police costs. That is one thing that we do bill for, but we don't bill for the manpower for public works.
Yeah.
In terms of at least sounds like yours is covered, in terms of the initial outlay for fencing and those items, that was really the upfront cost. So we've done that in terms of staffing and our efforts. It does cover the cost. I can share those numbers.
Well, I mean, it's not like we have a lot of guys out there for the whole weekend being paid overtime.
We do have staff out there, but with the $10,000 that they contribute to it, it certainly covers our staff easily. Easily.
Yeah,
And the boost to the economy alone.
Right. I think Jimmy John's ran out of bread again this year.
Yes,
so.
he did.
Even after getting 2 letters from us warning that they were coming. So.
They weren't that quick.
They run out of bread for the Stingers tournament, too.
Yes.
So.
I'll just add is that, yes, I've actually questioned some of our businesses in our village, and I know Sports Authority and so on did state that their business increased quite rapidly. So this is, I believe, an extremely good friendship that we have, and I would love to see keep going.
Yeah, my question is, where does the money go for parking?
It goes.
What you charge to park?
Yeah, so 2 things. It covers the staff that are doing the parking, and the background on the parking of it happened about 3 years ago. We couldn't manage where cars were going, and they ended up parking on anywhere that had grass and unsafe and everything. And frankly, through great kind of cooperation with Dave, they kind of now, fence isn't the right word, but maybe string off selected areas. And so we use parking south on Corporate Woods Parkway all the way around the entire facility. So it ends up being that we have about 60 parking attendants on site at any given time.
How many?
60? 60.
60.
Directing the.
We can't let any of them be by themselves, so there's at least 2 per lot, and if it's over, I forgot the number, 300 cars, then it ends up doubling. And they have to start at 6 in the morning, so then we have to bring a new shift of people in when they've been out there for 5 or 6 hours. So a large portion of the parking goes to that, to just staffing it and keeping it safe. The other portion of it, frankly, we use to offset the police costs because it's all linked together. We had 4 of them this year patrolling cars more than anything else at the beginning, and Mark, you probably could comment to that better. So our goal with charging for parking is to break even or come close.
And this is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Just Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
So if the board is comfortable looking at this going forward into, for an additional 5 years, if you want to make a motion to direct the staff to prepare the necessary amendments to the current agreement, and then we'll come back to you relatively shortly after this to put it on your agenda for final approval.
So move.
Oh, yes.
So
Second.
motion and second. Trustee Schultz?
Seeing as how 5 years is a long time, do we want to establish an escalator, or?
Well, there is a team escalator that's in here currently where we get $100 for every team above the threshold, which was this year, I believe. So if they put 25 more teams out there, I'll ask Larry to do the math on that one, but, you know, it's 2,500 extra bucks for us. I mean, if you want to put it some kind of escalator, I think something minor could be
You know,
put in there.
Increase the minimum,
Mhm.
so that there's the 10,000 and, you know, I don't know, 11,000 the next year, 12,000, 13, 14.
Okay. I mean, we could look at that if,
Is that a reasonable request?
Well, if you have the same amount of teams, I'll just tell you, we're probably, would you say, if we have additional teams, I don't think it's gonna, you can only take so many.
Right.
So why don't you predicate it possibly on what, there's an entrance fee, right?
Yeah, so we're
Well, you know, I mean, if he's raising his prices,
right.
then
Well, and an
need to
initial jump of
take a piece
10%,
of
I
it.
don't know that that's,
Yeah, I know, I agree.
I mean, that's a little
Well,
high.
you know what, we'll work together on putting together a percentage increase on an annual basis and
Yeah.
making sure that we're reimbursed, continue the reimbursement for the police and some ancillary maintenance items and the like. And
we ought to treat him like he's a tenant in a downtown office building with a successful restaurant.
there you go, except without the health inspections.
You know what I mean? Well, I mean,
Yeah, do the triple net.
just as long as we're covering our
Yeah.
expenses, and does that include, you know, if these fields have to be reseeded and sodded and all that, is that, you know, what's the expense there?
Yeah, seed is very inexpensive for the damage that they do. A lot of it's really the labor to lay out the fields, and as part of the more recent contracts, they're in charge of doing that, and we have staff that help support them, and also the Park District has 2 people that help support them. So it's more labor than
Right,
anything.
so it's not like you gotta close down a field completely.
No.
Okay.
And just
That's
one
fine.
other point was that I know the Stingers were looking for an earlier date because of the way that softball is now, that the national organization or the national teams are created earlier, or what are the national championships, and therefore, because of the timing that they currently have, which they were desirous of having, that, you know, it's a double-edged sword. They really wanted to stay with the summer cell weekend. That apparently is too late for them. So I guess they're reasonably comfortable with the fact that if they need to utilize additional fields from others, such as Vernon Township and whatever,
Right.
if they go to an earlier date, but we're definitely pulling this date out of
Right.
the mix for sure.
I communicated with both the Cougars and the Stingers and basically encouraged them to meet and talk, which trustee Mark Bartic indicated that they're going to meet this coming Monday, and that this date was locked in. So they had 3 dates in July and a couple more dates in June that they could work with and try to get together and see if there can be some kind of consensus, and then we'll return back to you. You'll see the letters from both of them in your packet this week. So, but that's what they're encouraged to do, and we're cautiously optimistic.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Hebda?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Markwart?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Great job.
we're gonna bring this back when,
Yeah, well, as soon as we can get the agreement together. So his concern obviously is locking in the date, which I
Right.
think we've done, and that'll help him with his scheduling, and we'll bring it back as soon as we can get this amendment done. But I think he's got the
yeah,
direction
Chad, you
now.
can let the word go out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chad.
All right, emerald ash borer tree removal on private property.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you're all aware, the emerald ash borer struck the northern Illinois region in early 2000s. Currently, the village has removed and replaced approximately 1,900 ash trees. There are currently approximately 1,700 ash trees remaining on the public right-of-way. However, and those trees are expected to be removed by 2016. However, the village does not have an estimate on the number of ash trees on private, residential, or commercial property. A study that was conducted in the Chicago metro region estimates that for every ash tree in the public right-of-way, there's a potential for up to 5 times that number on private property. The village reached out to our corporate parks in the village to determine what actions were currently being undertaken on private property. Van Vlissigen advised us that in corporate woods, they have approximately 70 ash trees remaining to be removed and replaced. Talking to Hiffman, the property manager for the Continental Executive Park, they indicated that they had conducted a tree inventory several years ago, and 450 ash trees were identified. Since then, they have begun removal of those trees. However, only 78 of them in the common areas and easements have been removed. Under the covenants in the Continental Executive Park, Hiffman will remove the dead trees, but the tenants must replace them within the easements. Hiffman's indicated to us that many of the tenants have told them that they don't have money budgeted for tree replacement at this time.
What do these trees cost for us? What are we spending per tree?
Just replacement, a new tree's, in the $200 range.
Also give, Dave, you would also give the size of that tree. A $200 tree is what size of the base?
Yeah, between a 2 and a 2.5 inch caliper tree.
Is the management firm, are they stump grinding too?
I believe they are, yes.
Okay, so they're removing the tree and grinding out the stump. So really it's just, let's say a $250 tree, what's the installation?
Usually the installation is equal to the price of the tree,
So
the labor.
$500 a tree.
Yeah. Removal of the tree and replacement, if it's a single one, is probably $500 to $800. Certainly you get a break if there's many of them in a row.
In regards to residential property, we also reached out to the HOAs, and a majority of which are taking steps to treat or remove ash trees. Staff conducted or reached out to the Northwest Municipal Conference and surrounding communities for information on how other communities are managing trees on private property. Due to the local ordinances that were passed in the wake of the Dutch elm disease, many communities overwhelmingly have the ability to forcibly remove trees. Vernon Hills is no exception. In our village code, we have a term of if a tree is deemed a public nuisance, and that's is defined as a tree infected with Dutch elm disease or other disease or insect infestation. However, due to the amount of trees infected in many of these communities, many communities have opted to take a very conservative approach. For instance, Lake Forest and Glen Ellen, they send letters out to property owners requesting that the tree be removed, and that the letters are only sent in instances where the trees pose an immediate public health or safety hazard or a hazard to the public right-of-way. The cost, as Dave indicated, for the removal of an ash tree on private property, it's conservatively estimated at $800, but there are many, many variables related to that can impact the price. Everything from size, in location of the property, if it's adjacent to a utility line, things like that can all impact the cost and the type of removal that would require to take place. In regards to liability of ash trees on private property, I asked our village attorney to look into this concern, and in a memo dated September 4th, we indicated that an owner of an affected ash tree would be liable if a branch were to fall on a neighboring property and cause damage. So that's really first and foremost the biggest concern that we want to make sure that we're advising residents is of that concern. And so currently, in terms of what the village does as it relates to private ash trees, is we will inspect private trees at the request of the property owner. We don't currently have the staffing ability to do a full tree inventory of the entire village. We will, however, direct staff or direct homeowners to the village's website. We do have a list of contractors However, we don't issue a formal endorsement of any of those contractors. We only advise them that these are contractors who have the expertise to safely remove ash trees. There is a door hanger that we do currently place as it relates to both ash trees on public right-of-way and private, related to the inspection. There's a descriptor on the back as well as the front indicating what is being done in terms of that. That was also included in your packet. And the other pictures that we have here are trees that are in the backyards of properties along Deerpath. These are two ash trees that we are aware of that it's the bare one, but it's you can see the one in the corner here, and no other better way to describe it. So I guess what we're looking for tonight is just direction from the board as to how you like staff to approach ash trees on private property. We've looked at a number of communities, and predominantly they've all taken a very conservative approach, and that is one that staff is currently recommending that we take if you so choose, and that's take a conservative approach. However, should it impact the public right-of-way, then intervene as necessary. I did include a sample letter in your packet that, again, at your direction, we can reach out to not HOAs as well as non-OHA homeowners to advise them of their liability risks, provide them additional information, as well as just overall ash tree identification. You know, with the fall and season coming forward, a lot of trees are losing their leaves. It'll be difficult for individuals to properly identify an ash tree at this time. However, especially in the spring, this will be something that we'll certainly be able to take an active approach on and advising residents of this. Again, at your discretion as to when and what timeline you like us to distribute this. In addition to that,
I was just going to say, there's some people, and not necessarily, any fault of their own, that Trustee Schultz and I talked to in various parts of the town, where some people have 7, 8, or 9 of these in their backyards. And this is principally, in Grosse Pointe. And so, talk about a hardship.
Yeah.
And that was, so I mean, I don't know how many other lots are like that, but it could be. Can we identify with our technology where what the total number of emerald ash, or ash trees are in town? Signs obviously the 3,600, but I mean,
we can't.
Do we do any aerials to identify?
Unfortunately, the aerials that we have would not be able to properly identify an ash tree. That is something I have spoken to.
Physically, we identify them by physically looking at all our.
Physically looking at each tree.
Yeah. Well, okay.
We've done the inventory within the right-of-way.
Right.
We haven't done, like, along the EJ&E buffer. There's a lot of ash trees through there. We have been focusing on the right-of-way. We haven't even went into our open space to collect data on how many trees we're going to have to tackle within our forest buffers.
And Dave, how many trees have you taken down?
1,900. Right?
And replaced?
I'm sorry.
How many trees have you taken down and replaced?
We started off at 3,500. We're right around that 1,900 number, yes.
That we've taken down and replaced?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, we're past the 50-yard line, so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and the price tag is what, about still the 1.3 million?
Originally we threw out higher numbers than that. We're bringing those numbers down, and I think we're going to be closer to between 1 million and 1.2 million. So we'll see. Our Actually, our white ashes are surviving a little bit better. The green ashes are, we're taking those down as quick as we can locate them and do so.
So if it's 5 times, is that what Joe said, 5 times that number on private property? Is that what you said, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're up to,
17,500.
well, what I'm saying is that for every 3,600, let's say, you know, it's about
80.
5 times more is gonna be what, 6 or 7 million bucks? for
I'm
people to do
I'm
it?
thinking almost
But
7
you
million for
could
the
get-
private property ones.
Right. And all our trees basically weren't encumbered by power lines and that kind of stuff.
No, thank God.
A lot of them.
No, ours, on the Parkway.
Are encumbered?
No, they weren't by power lines
They were
or
not.
anything.
True.
So a lot of these people could have issues.
Yes.
Utilities in their backyards.
Yes. And access is really important. We did reach out, you know, Joe and I were coordinating things. We reached out to our existing tree contractor, said, how much would it be if we can extend your contract? Would you extend your contract onto private property? He said, it's a whole different animal than going up and down the road. What's in someone's backyard? Is there a family heirloom in the backyard that may get damaged, access, et cetera, et cetera?
Just dragging the branches to the street to grind them. There's labor involved there.
Yes,
Couple,
Oh, yeah.
3 man hours.
yes.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one.
Bringing them down in the yard is a lot different, like he said, than
Oh,
doing it
yeah.
on a
Oh,
parkway.
sure, you know.
I had to have one.
Yeah, we can drop it right in the street.
Exactly.
They can't.
Exactly, yeah, well, yeah. You know, everybody's had an opportunity to watch how it was done. It was pretty quick, you know, real quick.
Not when it's in your backyard.
No,
I
that's
had
what I'm
to have
saying,
one
no,
done.
in the Parkway, real quick,
Sure.
Yeah.
you know.
The concern though too is as those trees get brittle, they're gonna break. too,
Exactly.
And that's gonna be, you know, you get a windstorm.
Well, I guess
or
at
that.
what point are they
I mean, how,
considered dangerous? I mean,
Right.
We need to know that.
Within.
And I don't know, that's not an easy.
By the time that you can look at a tree and say, boy, this tree has problems, the borer has been in that tree for over 2 years, probably 3 years, maybe longer. So once it's at the point where you know it's a problem, it is starting to become brittle, and you know, it depends, there's a lot of variables, but within 2 years, you need to get that
But if
tree
you look at
down.
the picture
Very
on-
brittle.
so you look at the picture on the screen and you see this, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
What do we have some definitive study to share with the residents?
Yeah.
That, okay, you know, these things can come down in like a, kind of an ordinary windstorm? I mean, they're more susceptible than a healthy tree.
There are studies out there, and we'll work to
You know, or
track that
something,
down.
you know, put together some kind of summary, and, Christ, I don't, you know, I'm just kind of between a rock and a hard place, how, you know, it's gonna be treated, you know, under somebody's homeowner's insurance, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think now, if there's a storm and your tree goes down on somebody else's house, hey, good luck trying to sue your neighbor because their tree hit your house. That's what, you know, you know, in essence,
It's not like the
you're
commercial.
you're gonna file a claim under your own insurance, and then, okay, you're gonna let the carriers putz through the subrogation process. You're not gonna like sit there while you pay for that while you got the tree blew a hole in your roof. You know what I mean? You're gonna turn in a claim.
Right.
So, but with a diseased tree, yeah, that could, you know, and you know it, that could create an interesting liability for the homeowner.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ, I saw one day at our 9-hole, and I was out on the balcony. It's like a Sunday afternoon, and we had a small tree not far from the back of the clubhouse, and some guy you know, kind of backed into it, not with a golf cart. And this thing went like this. This is quite a few years ago. But I mean, this tree was, you know, any number of us who've been there for years, I was like, it wasn't huge. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was going to kill anybody. But it was like, you know, it was taller than a stump. And it just, you know, I mean, a golf cart isn't a big, you know, heavy object, you know. So this kind of went down, and I don't even think the cart was damaged. But I mean, that was an old dead tree. But what's the root system on an ash though? It's not like a pine tree, is it?
Well, the root system is actually stronger as long as the tree's healthy, but if it isn't, it's the bore has girdled it, and so the nutrients aren't moving back and forth from the ground up, and vice versa. So.
All right. Well, I think you know we got to disseminate that information to the populace.
With regards to a 50-50 proposition, I mean, just taking the math here, if there's 5 times as many as what we've handled, we're talking about $5.5 million, assuming 1.1 million. So if we did 50-50 on that, we'd need to be budgeting, you know, $2.6 million plus or minus. I don't think I have an appetite for that. I know we may have some resident funds available in the near future with our tax increase, but still, that's a lot of dough. And then you'd only be spending it on landowners as opposed to apartment dwellers or.
You get into a real gray area going on private property.
Right.
I don't think that's recommended.
Right.
Council, does council have anything to say about it? In a hurry?
Well, I think you nailed it. You go on private property and you're entering a whole new world of liability.
But back to Continental Executive Park, I guess the attitude being there that they've only taken down a certain amount, and there are still, you're saying that there are 450 and they've only taken out 78, and these businesses are saying, well, we're not going to do anything because we don't have any money. I'm a little.
Are these on the property, not on the Parkway?
The ones.
Because we're doing the parkways even in Continental Executive Park, right?
I believe those stats are more within the right-of-way. Continental Executive Park has their own management association that oversees that. The south leg by the post office, the south leg of that intersection, you see that they've replaced all those. I think they're doing my estimation, I think Continental Executive Park within the rights-of-way that they maintain, they're being proactive and they're addressing it. I think it's more on the private property areas of CEP.
And what is that, with germane to businesses, don't we have an ordinance in place that's been there for a long time?
About trees.
To approach these people and politely tell them, hey, you got these dead trees, I don't care if it's an ash.
Because you look at
They gotta be replaced because of
Well-
the actual landscape plan that was approved.
That's right. There's typically most properties have an approved landscape plan, and
Right, we
the question winds up being is, do you want to take this as a code enforcement opportunity against these businesses?
Well, I think, I mean,
Now-
you look at Wicks, the old
gotta
Wicks,
say yes.
there's all those
I mean,
dead
we
trees.
can't do it with the homeowners, correct?
Right.
Because we didn't approve.
Well, no, before we get too wound up here, the issue here was asked many years ago about the same question, and at that time the board said, no, we don't want to take that code enforcement type approach. So we've always taken the approach of contacting the property owners and saying, you have a series of dead trees, you have an approved landscape plan. What we'd like to do is work with you to see these plans remain in place, and we want to see the trees come down, and we want to see those other items replaced.
So that's what we've got to do? Of course, we haven't done it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a
they're
challenge.
This would be appropriate.
Yeah, I agree.
To do this.
But supplementing what John's comment is, really what staff is starting to hear from different business owners is, I have ash trees, I would like to remove them, And so when they contact us, we say, we do have this approved landscape plan that you need to have in perpetuity and follow that. Some of them tell us, budget-wise, we don't have the money right now. We'd like to do it in phasing. Can we remove the trees now and make it safe? And then the question is, how do we enforce replanting, or how do we go through it? My staff, what they,
I guess it's a moot point. You want the tree removed.
But you do
Right?
want it replaced,
Well,
too.
okay. I mean, as far as giving a year or 2 years, I don't, but I mean,
Right.
Well,
again,
maybe in this instance, give us a little bit of time to get our arms around this one, because
Right.
it's just, unfortunately, it's just not as simple as saying, okay, we're going to send you a letter and then we're going to take you to court if you don't build.
no, I know that.
And we don't wanna do
It'll cause a lot of consequences.
But I also believe that they were aware, just as we were aware, of all these issues with this particular insect.
Yep.
And so,
Right.
as you're planning for the future, then you need to, we've accounted for it as a
Yep.
village, and I would hope that a corporation would also take that step forward and say, okay, I've got a property to maintain,
Right.
and I need to put in
Right.
to the budget. Not that I expect that it has to be done right away. Certainly,
Sure.
we have to try to monitor and say, you've got so much time to
Right.
do it in, but I would hope that they've
Well, and
done some forward thinking.
we've also had some that have provided modified landscape
Yeah,
plans.
absolutely.
And you all have seen those in the
Sure.
past too, where they've come in and made adjustments or cleaned up. I mean, the northwest corner of Milwaukee and 60, the Mickey Weiss building, there is a perfect example where they came in and they cleaned up
Right.
both frontages. And that may be an
Well,
opportunity too.
I mean,
so.
some of these lots are going to be incredibly mature with their landscaping
Oh,
now.
Right.
It might not be, okay, you might be able to take some of these down, and you don't care if they put another tree.
Yeah,
in.
right,
'cause there's
exactly.
enough
That's
in
a very
there
good
to
point.
cover,
I mean,
sure.
Yep.
yeah,
Right, with some
Yep.
type of.
But I
Well-
mean, taking the
modification.
tree
But I know,
down
I think that's
is
gonna
the
take
most important
Tremendous
aspect.
amount of time on our part by
Right.
staff too to follow up with that. I
Well,
recognize
and
that.
so let us get our arms around that one a little bit more. I think we hear a little bit of what you're thinking in terms of that direction. One point to Trustee Schultz point about the 50/50 program. A lot of communities only budget like a little bit of money. I mean, sometimes it's 10,000, 20,000, and it's a first come, first serve, and it's a 50/50 reimbursement. You buy it, you plan it, you give us a bill, we make sure you did, and we cut you a check for $150.
But you're saying in the Parkway,
No, this is, I've seen.
on private
I've
property.
seen it on private property. I mean, when I lived in Grace Lake, we did it on one tree, and the village had a program. They were trying to reforest a number of areas that were old farm fields. So there is that opportunity. Again, you don't need to budget it all, ever.
Right.
Well, and there's
So-
also the opportunity when we sell trees during like
Yes.
Arbor Day, where you
Yep.
might get a deal to get so many trees in, and people can at least purchase from Public Works a nice tree at at a discount, which is a nice opportunity too for people to replace as they
Right.
cut down the tree too.
All right, well, we should bring this back
Yeah.
then, and a committee. I mean, do you need any action on anything tonight? I don't think so, do you? We're not making a decision on
mean,
this.
we're-
No, I believe we've got sufficient direction. We'll,
All right. Okay. Deerpath Drive Parking, consideration of draft zoning regulations and parking restrictions. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the board is aware, this topic has been discussed at a number of board meetings in the past, most recently at the July 1st Committee of the Whole meeting. And at that meeting, there was a thorough review and discussion of this topic, and ultimately 2 motions came out of that meeting. The first one directed staff to prepare draft regulations that would allow a 3-car wide driveway, and also regulations that would allow a larger shed. These amendments would apply only to properties that front on Deerpath between Sullivan and Route 45, and that area is shown in blue on the map in front of you. This motion passed unanimously. The second motion, again the same night of that meeting in July, directed staff to prepare an amendment that would prohibit the parking of vehicles on driveway aprons, and this would apply to the entire village. That motion passed with 3 in favor and 2 against. So in response to the board's direction, the night of that meeting, staff has prepared some regulations for your review and consideration tonight. The first one is an amendment that would allow a 27-foot wide driveway perpendicular to the house, and again would apply only to those properties that are shown on the map. What we've done is we've applied these draft regulations to various properties along Deerpath to see how it would work. In some cases, it works out quite well. There's enough space on the property, and the grading is sufficient to make a widened driveway work well. In other cases, some restrictions apply. Because of grading conditions, a retaining wall would have to be installed. There could be utility easements in the way, and a driveway is not permitted in a utility easement. Also, a driveway is required to maintain a minimum 5-foot side yard setback. So in some cases, widening the driveway would work out pretty easy. In other cases, there may be some increased cost for a retaining wall and such, but it would provide another option. And again, we're just showing you some different examples here.
Well, go back to that 100 South Deerpath. That is a home that I would not allow to have a wider driveway because that house has a detached garage. And so what you're seeing there is probably a 60-foot driveway.
Yeah.
So that's not a good example. That one I would not expect to have a widened drive because they have plenty of parking, stacking.
Yeah, and your point is well taken, Trustee Schultz. Maybe what the regulations need to do is apply to the properties that were shown on the map that was before you,
Right.
but only for those houses that have attached garages and not for those houses that have a detached garage.
Or that only have the equivalent of 2 non-covered parking spaces or whatever you want to call it.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, how many houses along that stretch have a detached garage? 2 or 3 maybe?
Yeah, I'd be guessing 2, 3, maybe 4 at the most, but they do exist.
Yeah.
But like at 119 South Deerpath, that picture looks like they could fit 4 cars in the driveway easily.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we wouldn't want to add.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I think it kind
yeah,
of needs to be on a case by case.
Right. The intent was when they only had the ability to stack 2 cars on the drive, to give them the ability to add a third. So yeah, 119 has the ability to stack 4 cars on the drive, so therefore they wouldn't qualify.
Yeah, so essentially
Yeah,
you need
there's
what,
there's a
40
shorter driveway there.
Yeah, but you need 40 feet for the 2 cars, right?
Yeah, that's true. A parking
I mean,
space is
back to
typically
back before you hit the sidewalk.
exactly.
Okay. So, I mean, can you identify these? You don't have it broken out like that.
No, we have examples that show the shorter driveway like that at 212 Deerpath, like
Right.
Trustee Schultz is describing, and we have examples like this where the garage is set back a greater distance. And again, just for
Well,
your
then,
review.
you gotta carve it out then. I mean, let's carve it out, so that you don't have everybody coming in and putting a second pad.
Right.
Council, can we do that?
I certainly see no reason why you couldn't. You have a legitimate
You know.
reason for doing it. Clearly can do that, in my opinion.
So, like for here, 212 Deerpath on the screen in front of you now, that's that short driveway that I think the board was most concerned about. And if I'm understanding correctly, this amendment that would allow the 27-foot wide driveway would be for these type of properties only, because they need it the most, but not necessarily for this type of property because they have a lot more depth
But
to their
the
driveway.
Okay, come back to that, come back to the house that needs the.
212.
212, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, it would go towards, what direction am I looking at? North here?
West is to your left. North is up.
Okay, so east Okay, obviously you want it to go towards where you see where the car is, you want the driveway. The added driveway east or whatever that is of that car.
To the right, facing the
To the
house.
right of the car.
Yes, north and, well, they got one showing north and south.
That
Lighter blue.
would be
Right?
optimal.
I mean,
Yes,
so,
that would be
okay,
logical.
how close does that come to the setback line? They had 9 feet there, how close do they come to their neighbor's lot line?
They wouldn't be, in that neighborhood, a minimum setback is 7 feet. Now, there's a number of homes, especially on the curved street, that have more than that as a side yard setback towards the front corner of the house. But in most cases, you're gonna bump into that 5-foot setback requirement before you get a 9-foot extension. So they'd need the ability to also add a little bit, like in this case, to the south, in order to get a 27-foot width driveway, which is what you'd need to be able to park 3 cars side by side.
Is it 3 or 4? 3?
27 feet to 3, that's just based on our typical size of a parking
Yeah,
lot.
this driveway's not anywhere close to 40 feet from the garage door to the sidewalk.
That's correct.
How many feet is it?
Somewhere around 30.
Yeah. So, yeah, so if that guy tries to park 6 cars there, they're all gonna be across the sidewalk.
I bet you it's
That's
not.
correct, yeah, that's correct. You could see the cars in the driveway, you could see if a car pulled up behind that car,
Yeah.
they'd be over the sidewalk.
Right.
So I think I understand the board's direction on this one. The amendment should apply only to these type of properties with the shorter driveways, not these type of driveways with a longer driveway.
Right. They don't.
Or do we pass this and then everything's a variance?
Yeah, well, we could
You know what I
just-
mean? Everything's a variance.
Yeah, we could just leave the code alone and treat each one on an individual basis where they request a variation.
Yes.
That too is an option.
But can that apply just to these homes?
As it stands right now, it applies to the entire village. And so, yes,
And anywhere where it's at.
I mean,
No, I want to be careful that you're not going to have now everybody in town
Well,
coming in and making that request.
well,
This
any-
is a hardship. It's
Right.
I mean, this is a hardship.
Well, that's
Yes.
why
Agreed.
you're setting up the ordinance to be within just that Deerpath.
I'm not, I mean, every item,
Well,
There are other
what-
houses in this neighborhood. I
but-
have a neighbor right across that can't put.
But what it would probably,
But
no,
he-
what it would probably go to is the uniqueness of this is there is no on-street parking at any time.
Anytime, right.
And so the ordinance would probably then apply to anywhere in town
where there's
where there is no on-street parking.
I'll agree with that. That would work.
Because that's the item that we're trying to address.
right. So we could try to work through that. Now, some ordinances ours does not indicate specific variable items that you're allowed to request a variation from in the ordinance. You can request a variation from any requirement in our zoning ordinance. So for this particular topic, we would want to allow the option of a variation for a specific area. We'll need to kind of dig through that a little and research it a little, but I think I understand what the board is requesting. Obviously, I'd work closely with Bob to come up with some regulations.
Yeah, there's one homeowner already has a widened driveway. I forgot the address. It's Mr. Finch. It's got a sign with his name over the garage door. But he got a variance apparently because when he got his driveway poured, your inspectors shut down the concrete placement crew from placing it. And then he went back and said, hey, I've got this variance from 1980 or whenever to have this. So if you could find that original variance and how that was granted and.
Yeah, I could, and we'll research that. I can tell you, it was a while ago now, so I don't remember the detail. I remember what we had was really brief minutes that approved the variation. At that time, the village didn't do ordinances or anything like that. And record keeping wasn't quite as thorough as what it is now.
Okay. Understood.
But yeah, you hit it right on the head. They were able to prove that they had a variation in the past, so
Right.
they were allowed to replace their driveway to the same dimensions.
Right.
But we'll work through that for you and come up with some more definitive regulations for driveway widths that apply to those kind of properties where somehow it requires a board approval process.
And also the sheds too.
Yeah, oh, and then as far as the sheds go, that's the second regulation that's before you tonight. And basically with that, what we did was,
I'm not done with this one, wait a minute. I have something else on the parking.
Oh, wait,
Pardon me.
Trustee Williams.
Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah.
I had a hard enough time finding that button. But I agree with basically we're trying to address Deerpath, the street, the southern end of Deerpath,
Right.
Sullivan South. But Trustee Marquardt just pointed out that there's other places in town, one being in his neighborhood, that the two houses across from him, basically their driveways butt up against each other.
Yeah.
And there's only room for one car on each driveway.
If you parked a car to back out.
So
you'd
there
hit your
are
neigh-
other
you'd hit your
areas
neighbor's
in
car
town that
if you parked
possibly
two
could
cars.
come in and ask for a variance.
this is yeah, that situation I'm aware of. That's where.
Well, nobody, whoa, let's clarify that.
They have a
Nobody-
driveway that's only 10 feet wide?
It's a strange driveway. In
You
fact,
can't
Mike
park
knows
in the
about it.
street overnight.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I
You only
mean?
have till 2
You still,
o'clock.
you got a 2 o'clock, so you can't
I mean,
just.
you could call it for a one night or a 2 night variance, but
Right.
you can't
But
call
you
it every
can't-
night.
You can't park there every night, or
Correct.
people be, every street will be full of cars, and
You got it.
when it snows, that'll be a problem.
Yep.
So all I was pointing out was there are certain other areas in town that may want to come in and ask for a variance. And we're not gonna prohibit that, correct? If somebody wants to come and ask for a
On a
variance for a
case-by-case
problem.
basis,
That's-
no.
Thank you.
what's
That's
good.
what I wanna make sure
That's
of.
what I would prefer.
So keep that in mind when you're doing your thing.
Certainly.
But
we
that's
certainly
always
will.
basically true of any of our ordinances. Somebody could come in and
Right.
apply for a variance to almost
I
anything.
agree with that,
on
but
a
now that we're
case-by-case
setting this up specifically for a area of town, I don't wanna preclude
Right, no,
anyone from
I
coming in
wouldn't
for
dare
variance.
preclude the remainder of the town, but I'd like to establish this district so that these people know that they have an option and that, the process will not
It's
be
not a
an
given, but they're
encumbrance.
allowed to come and ask. Right.
So the houses located in this district would still require some sort of board approval process, but maybe it's not something as cumbersome as a variation, which would apply to the rest of the village?
Oh.
Is that what I'm
I think they need to have a,
I'm trying to make a distinction between
I think legal's getting excited.
the variation process we have now and.
I'm sorry, my suggestion would be that we have an overlay district on the section of Deerpath we're talking about. We establish a length of driveway under which you get it as of right. You need a building permit, but they can get it as of right. They don't need to go through the process. If there's a longer driveway and they want the same relief, they'd have to come to you.
Agree.
And that would be in that district. In the other areas of town, it would be just a straight variance and come to you, unless we found another section of street like Deerpath, and at that time, we might create another overlay district for them.
Well,
Makes
it technically, in Deerpath, for example, where you have a sidewalk on just one side of the street, well, people are parking really in the easement. And they're not gonna get penalized like somebody parking overhanging the sidewalk, So, I mean, in essence, how do you enforce that, chief? I mean, I don't think we're going out and
They're not
writing tickets in the middle of the night. Because technically, if you just bump out onto somebody's apron, you're not in the street. You know what I mean? If
I
somebody's.
see it.
No, you're right, but I think part of the discussion here was it going to prohibit parking on the aprons entirely? Because you can park.
That's the next
No,
section.
no, no, what I'm
We're not
saying
there
is,
yet, Chief.
no, if,
Okay.
say you push, two cars up against the garage door, and you put two more behind it, put half of your bumpers overhanging onto the public sidewalk.
You
But
can
you
do
still
that.
got a garage apron.
Right, you can do that certain times of the day now. It's in the ordinance. I forget what the time is, 10 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning. You can block the sidewalk between those hours.
Well, I mean, and you could still not go in the street, you just
Right,
walk
right.
around them and you're
Exactly.
on the guy's apron.
Exactly, we permit that now by ordinance.
So from 10 to 6?
Correct.
Right.
I may be off by an hour or so, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, during the night.
All right, okay, so what are we doing with this
Well,
tonight?
there's the second part of this first part,
The
which
shed?
is the sheds.
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Schultz. So I think we have direction from the board on the driveway width. We need to do some work for you and come back to you again. The second part of the first motion was regarding shed sizes, and the motion directed staff to prepare amendments that would allow a larger shed size within this district, although the board may wish to apply it village-wide. What we did was we asked Northwest Municipal Conference to do a survey asking what's the maximum size and shed and height of the shed. And the results indicated that the average size is 160 square feet, and the average height is 13 feet. Right now, our maximum size is 120 square feet, and our maximum height is 10 feet. The amendments before you tonight, and what staff is recommending, is that, at least for the houses in this area, that the shed size be bumped up to the average of 160 square feet from 120, but
Why?
that the shed height restriction of 10 feet in our village remain the same.
Why?
The motion from the board at the meeting in July was to come up with an amendment that would allow a larger shed size in this district.
I feel like
To
I know
allow
why.
for storage of materials that are currently being stored in the garage.
Where do you put the stuff you can't get in your garage? In storage, right?
I have no place to put a shed.
That's, my point is, if you
'Cause I
can't
don't
put
own
it in
any
your
property,
garage,
so
you
I
put
don't
it
have
in
a place to put a
storage.
shed.
Well, they already have the right to build a 10 by 12
Mhm.
shed.
Correct.
And what the staff was recommending here was that they could build a 10 by 16 shed. I'm not married to that. A 10 by 12 shed is quite substantial.
That's a room. That's a room.
So,
A full room.
now that I know that our maximum is 10 by 12, now is that floor line or is that outside of drip edge?
Outside wall to outside wall.
So that doesn't include the drip edge then? So the
Well,
drip
I
edge
guess
could
the-
increase.
It doesn't matter. It's a 10 by 12
You know,
shed. Come on.
in stepping away from the curb here, with a shed that large, is
there anything
No,
else?
Does that mean that the individuals that live there, okay, you better take all this stuff out of your, I mean, you're gonna have that caveat where you say,
No.
you gotta take it all out.
No.
Put
Put
it
it
in the
the
shed,
shed.
and now you put your car in the garage.
Well,
I
what-
don't
then
think
you don't need
I
the
don't think
width.
we
No,
can
I'm not
dictate,
saying we enforce that, but
But,
what I'm
I
saying
know
is,
as far as an
yeah,
option.
here
it
is
just-
another option for
But
you.
only here.
Well,
No,
they
we-
already have
come
an.
on.
No, I don't wanna.
No, what I'm saying is, I don't agree with the 10 by 16 increase. We already have a 10 by 12 on the books.
Yeah, that's fine.
So a 10 by 12 is adequate to store
think we
whatever
need a separate
you
one.
need to store.
Let's
So now that I have that knowledge, as the person who put the motion together in the first place, I'd
I
say,
missed that
forget
meeting.
that.
I didn't know who did it.
Yeah, forget that part of it,
Thank
and let's just go with the first part. A
Well,
10
10
by
by
12.
16's not gonna get two cars in, it's a shed. I mean, the width is the same width as the
Well,
garage,
yeah,
but it's
10 by
not
12's
deep
plenty.
enough. You'd have to have 16
As I just shared with trustee Hebda,
cars.
my house that I have in Wisconsin,
Saying.
I desperately need to build a shed. I was planning on building a 7 by 7 so I can get stuff out of my garage, so I can get a second car in my garage
Put it
during
in
the
10 by
winter time.
12.
Well,
Everything in there.
I don't know how many
yeah, but
people
that would
got.
cut into the wood pile area, so, with that being said,
Thank
10 by 12 that's one hell of a building, so.
All right, then we're good.
You know,
I think they're good with what they got.
maybe we should just stay with the driveway thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
understood.
That-
That's the direction we're
And
looking for.
then what's the last item, the apron?
The last one was the apron. There was a motion that passed with 3 in favor and 2 against that would prohibit the parking of vehicles on a driveway apron, and that prohibition would apply village-wide. And so, as directed by the board the night of that meeting, we've put together a regulation that would prohibit the parking of
But
vehicles.
What
there's
do they do
people
in the
that park on the apron now all over town.
I was gonna say, it's
Agreed.
not just a
Right, and
Deerpath.
Again-
this is for the entire town to prohibit that.
And some of the reasons why is because they have a sidewalk, because they block the sidewalk.
This is the
Well,
topic.
that's why.
But we got that covered in the other ordinance, so they can do it during the
Can't
night.
park your car.
But you can
Fine.
during the
Well,
night.
maybe we better emphasize that you can park the car from 10 to 6, you know,
Only.
where it crosses
Only-
the
right.
public sidewalk. Because I think a lot of people think,
But this is more middle of the day, you're looking at.
well, I don't think there's a lot of
I haven't
cars.
seen anybody do
Why
it
don't you
during the
park
day?
on the apron in the middle of the day?
Where we're talking about, that's why this.
Yeah.
Oh, these people. Oh, okay, the folks
No,
that live.
no, all over town. How many photographs did I send you, chief? At least a dozen.
It'd be like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Maybe it was that guy
Well,
across the
this was 10
street.
o'clock in the morning.
I have a cart.
I went around and, I mean, I got tired of taking photos. I mean, there was
this
that
during
many.
the winter?
No, this was this
Let
spring.
me ask you this, how many complaints have we had about that?
Not one.
Uh,
You had any?
Yeah, I've had
No,
some,
ma'am.
Really?
yes,
Yeah,
because it's
I
unsightly.
gotta say, this is the only one I have not gotten any calls on.
It's an aesthetic, thank you. And from that standpoint, I don't believe it's something we want to promote in our
We're
village.
not promoting
where's
it,
the-
but I don't
where's
think
the-
we should
wait a second,
prohibit
where's
it
the
either. Come
Google
on.
map?
Google map?
Google Earth.
Google map truck that could drive around and give us that head count
God.
that we were approached. Remember that little?
That little
Yeah, that
man?
was gonna be special. I'm
Maybe
just
they-
saying, okay, in all honesty, you know, I don't know where you go. Is it in your neighborhood personally where they're doing this?
It's in every neighborhood. Yes, it's in Hawthorne Club. Yes, it's in Deerpath. Yes, it's in Grosse Pointe. Yes, it's in
Man.
existing Cherry Valley.
This isn't a major problem. It's not
I mean, I
I'm
think
sorry.
there's people that
I
do
drive
it.
all over town myself and I don't, you know, the police do. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna go find a bunch of cars parked on the apron at 10 o'clock in the morning. Well,
This
where
spring,
should
I
where should
did.
go?
The only thing I could,
I was gonna say, you know, what you might wanna do is get a beater in the winter and park it on your apron so that you don't get 4 feet of snow on the apron.
Ooh. Now, there's a thought.
Then you pull it out of the way.
That would be, you know, because
Can't you just put out your?
With my
you know,
luck, it wouldn't start in the
What's
morning.
it called, wind rolls or what is?
Wind
what is-
No,
Yeah,
all
so you don't
joking,
get that wind roll.
No, just put out.
all
lawn
joking
furniture like
aside,
you're doing.
I certainly
Lawn
understand
fawn-
it.
No, beater car would be better, because then they would,
Like I said, with
Just
my
go
luck, it
flying
wouldn't
all
start in the
over.
morning. I couldn't get any of my cars out.
There you go.
You back into it.
And I could certainly understand where you're coming from with this, and I do appreciate it, but I really don't think it's a major problem.
You know,
I don't either.
And at this juncture, in a sense, I have to agree, because when we started talking about it, and I started, doing my surveys and advising the chief of what I was finding, that was this spring, and the only thing I can attribute to it, because I drive around now and I don't see it as often.
They're at college.
Exactly.
That's where they're at,
And
they're at school.
it's a summertime phenomenon.
Well, no,
Okay.
it's actually
No,
almost like a springtime phenomenon. They come back before they can,
Get their jobs for the summer or whatever
Well,
and leave
or-
again, move away.
Get the heck out.
Yeah, right.
so
Where they move in.
but it's not
But the
something.
first person out of the house would want to be on the apron then.
No,
They
but
Now
have
you-
to be.
Now you got a car.
Otherwise you're
yeah,
jocking the
yeah, I mean,
cars.
Jesus
That's what
Christ,
Tom and I
you
went
might as
through
well
for
hire
years.
a valet service for
Well, they're parking on the apron and two on the pad, and
Oh, yeah.
that's why I'm, a 10 by 12 shed. if you can't get all that crap out of your garage so you can
Well, especially if they put
start
it
parking
beside the
cars.
garage
All
and they
right,
got
trustee, all right, trustee Cook is
Yeah,
later.
I think this, the reason I voted against it the last time was because I think with the other changes we've made, I wanted to see
Hopefully
if
we'll
that took
eliminate
care of
some
the
of it,
problem.
right.
And I think it will.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I don't think we need this.
Good.
I agree.
All right, so,
And to that
Try
end,
that part? Thank you.
what I would like staff to do is spend a few minutes with legal and whatever to craft the ordinance, but not bring it up at this time, just have it if this becomes a issue in the future, so that, because we've done all the.
Do we really want to waste the money on that right now?
Well, I'm just saying that we're 80% down the road. So let's finish it while it's still fresh in the attorney's
Well, by the
mind
time
and the
it comes up
commissioner's
again, we're
mind.
going to change it anyway, so.
I'll need a wheelchair to park in that.
all right, so in
You're not
essence,
getting mine.
we're gonna do the special district.
Right.
And we're gonna, and then everywhere else, it'll be a variance if you wanna widen your driveway.
Right.
If I could I ask for a motion directing the amendment for the wider driveway in the special district in accordance with the direction tonight? A motion sending this to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a public hearing?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further comments or questions?
So that's just on the widening, all the other stuff is out.
And
Just the
overlay
driveway in
district
accordance
and
with your
line.
comments
Shed's
tonight.
out and the apron's out.
Okay.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye?
Schwartz.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Hebda.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn, committee of the whole?
We almost have another item.
Second.
Wait, don't we have? Wait,
Oh, I don't think,
No, that's it.
is that it?
Yeah. All right, roll call.
Trustees Markwart.
Aye,
Cook.
Aye?
Schultz.
unless you want something else.
aye.
Schwartz. Aye. Hebda.
Aye.
Williams.
I thought it was the financial.
Williams.
No,
Aye.
that's.
Motion carries. Thank you and good night.
Oh, that's